Hi, this is the second part of advanced radius configuration with Splynx server. Here we will talk about what means inverse rate limits and accounting, what is a change of authentication packet, how to use it, what is the difference between COA and the packet of disconnect, and also how to configure custom radius attributes. Let's start. So what I want to show you now is the configuration of radius. And inside configuration of radius, what we have there is inverse rate limit and inverse accounting. As you see for MikroTik, inverse accounting is enabled and inverse rate limit is disabled. For different vendors, this behaves in different way. So the issue is that in some cases, some vendors send us download and upload, and in other cases, they send it as upload and download because they treat sessions, some of them treat it as interfaces, some of them treat it as a client. So that's why we had to play with the settings. And I think if we go to Cisco, for example, so it has a difference, so it doesn't have inverse accounting. If we go to probably to Juniper or Cisco IS6E, I think it will be different. Now this is same, but Juniper can have it in a bit different way. Let's check. Now same, okay, so but in MikroTik, what we have is that inverse accounting is enabled to have the statistics correctly displayed. Okay, you can see that inverse rate limit is not active, and where it is applied, it's applied inside our internet plans when we have 20 megabits. Download speed is 20, upload speed is 3. We can check that it was set up correctly. Just checking there. What we do not have, that's from the previous video. I need to reconnect my customer back. Sorry, let's change his password. So his password is 5. So he's reconnecting back now. And we will see his speed. So if I go to queues, there is exactly. So download is 50 megs, upload is 10 meg. So this is another customer that is trying to connect, which is a DHCP client. And this client is this one. He is blocked. Let's reactivate him. I see that he was blocked. The queue was not created for him. But now when he will reconnect, or I can force it because it's a DHCP, we need to wait till the lease is renewed, but I'm just reconnecting him now. You can see that this is download 20 meg and upload 3 meg. And accounting is inversed, and this is, we can see that I was trying to download data, and that's what we have is in the DHCP download is 22 meg. That was done today. And if I go to my PPPoE client, I see that it also should correspond and should be displayed correctly. Here it is. So this is the download and upload data. If we, this is a very nice tool, live bandwidth usage, that I often use. What I need to define is I need to say from the router that I want to get API data. Okay, so this is not radius, so this is API related. So if I have API MikroTik enabled and I use PPPoE, so this works only for PPPoE, in my statistics, this chart will start working and will start showing me data. Of course, if I have some data. At the moment, it doesn't have any data, but as soon as I will get some traffic on my line, it will start showing me the statistics. And also, this chart will be displayed on customer portal. Okay, but that's not related to radius. Let's go to the next step of our radius. What means change of authentication packet and packet of disconnect? Let's start with packet of disconnect because it's much simpler. For PPPoE connections, we can kick out customer from the router and the packet of disconnect is sent. So this is our customer. You see this uptime 2 minutes. If I go to his service, and if I have my packet of disconnect or COA enabled, I can click this button and disconnect client. You see uptime 0. So he was successfully disconnected. If I want to understand what happened on the Splynx side, and this is here, Splynx uses Linux Red Client to generate a change packet. I will show you this on CLI, and using incoming TCP connection for 3799. So this is, if I go to radius and there's an incoming, this is exactly what is used. Let's reset status again. Let's make 0 and let's reconnect this customer. I can also do this reconnection from online customers. So this is my PPP. For DCP, it doesn't work, but for PPP, yes. So if I click that, session was reconnected, new one. And here I see it was one request, one acknowledgement, and customer was successfully reconnected. What did Splynx? Splynx, as I said, is using the CLI tool, Red Client, and I can go to my files, logs, and under logs, if I scroll down, there are 3 files: radius short, radius debug, and radius CLA. In radius CLA, this exactly shows me what was happening for packet of disconnects or for change of authentication. That was the command that was sent. It was username, PPP, framed IP address, NES IP address, and this is the command: USR bin sudo red client disconnect. I can run the same command from command line and it will disconnect the client. So what Splynx did, it changed it, or it sent this command to the Linux CLI, and Linux performed this connection to the router. Okay, so this is change or packet disconnect. Okay, POD. So packet of disconnect is sent in this case. Change of authentication is also based on the same logic. So I mean that we also sent the connection using TCP connection to the port 3799. We also use Red Client, but we change some values. For example, why this COA can be used. It's used to change attributes without reconnecting the customer. For example, we need to change his speed. Okay, so his speed can be changed without reconnecting his session. The IP address can be changed without reconnection the session as well. So this, we define how to behave if we want to use COA or if we want to use packet of disconnect for in different cases. Let's go to my configuration and radius, and I load MikroTik NES type because this is what we use now. And if I scroll down, there you can find that there are customer blocks. So this is the first option. This is the first situation when we use this packet of disconnect or COA. How we are going to block our client? We are going to block him with the packet of disconnect. This is a physical block, physical reconnection of session, or we will send him the block attribute. What will be his block attribute? So we will add his IP address to MikroTik address list, for example, or that's, I will call it block at IP attribute or IP COA. So let's do it this way. If we are restoring, then we need to define how to restore, but this is actually restore attributes just correspond to these rate limit attributes. These are the attributes that are sent for when the customer is authenticated. They are sent back to router. And this is our blocking. And the second case when we can use COA or blocking or kicking out the session is when we apply fair user policy. So when fair user policy is applied, we need to change his plan, or we need to block client. You can see this is, for example, a FUP block, or we can just give him some very small speed. We can kick out the session when customer is just reconnecting and gets these attributes, or we can, without breaking the session, we can change his state using the COA. Okay, let's try now to save, and let's try to block customer using COA. So using COA, we said that his IP address will be put to blocked IP COA without breaking the session. So let's try this. You see, uptime is 4 minutes. So what we need to do is to block the customer. We need to move him to block status and check if the COA will work or not, if the session will not be broken. go there and block. If I block client, let's see what's happening. Nothing happens with his session. His session is still live, so he has the IP address that he received. So it's a real IP, it's not fake IP. So, but what happens is on the firewall, there is a address list. You see that his IP was added to blocked IP COA without breaking the session. So this is the main difference. So COA is not breaking the session, not kicking out the client. Client doesn't have to reconnect, but he reconnected because of the timeout. Because as you can see in my configuration, I have set the session timeout. This session timeout is used by DHCP customers. So it's not really very nice to use for PPPoE. So to reconnect every 5 minutes, my PPPoE session is really not needed, but I use it for DHCP, and because I use the same radius or the same MikroTik nest type, that's why I have this session timeout. What I can do, if I don't want to have session timeout for my PPPoE customers, I can define and I can add different nest type and put their attributes without session timeout. How to do that? Very simple. I can go to my config, nest types, and I can create one more. I can create MikroTik, and here will be PPPoE, and the router that will do PPPoE, I will assign him this nest type. Okay, I will have two routers. One will be for DHCP, and the second will be for PPPoE. And the PPPoE will have different settings. Okay, it will have different radius attributes that we are going to send. So this one here, this I will remove. So, and this nest type I will assign to my router that will be dedicated for PPPoE. So this is the way how I can switch, or how I can split my DHCP out of PPPoE configuration and have it independent. And that was an example of COA, how it works with MikroTik. Okay, and the last part that I wanted to explain and to show is using custom radius attributes. If you want to use in your access accept messages some additional attributes, for example, putting your client to VRF, or adding him to some address list, or adding some additional routes or whatever, you can use additional fields. And we allow to use additional attribute field inside customer and inside plan. So inside, what does that mean? So you can see that customer has some attributes, and these are additional fields. If I go to my clients, and here there is a name of the field. So this can be a name of the attribute, and the value of the attribute will be sent to the radius reply. And the same thing I can do in my tariff plans. In my tariff plans, I can have additional fields. There are no additional fields, yes, but let's do it. Let's add tariff plan, and let's send address list, for example. Let's send it as a name of the tariff plan, or let's send name tariff plan as address list. Let's do this. Let's go to my config, additional fields. And I'm going to add to my internet plans a new field that is called let's check again how this is written there in the config of radius. MikroTik address list. So that's additional fields. internet plans and add title. No default value. Now let's make it this way. Allowed only, yeah. So it doesn't like this symbols there. And I can go to my 20 meg and I will put it there, MikroTik address list. So this is for 20 and also I'm using 50 meg. So let's use it for 50 meg there. What we can do now in our radius configuration is that we can say that I want to send plan attribute MikroTik address list included to my answer on the access accept. Save it, restart radius. And now when I will reconnect the client, and unfortunately he is blocked now, so let's activate all my customers. Let's go there. Here is the customer. And I will just change his status to active. So the customer was activated. The IP address was assigned, and let's check if we successfully added something to address list. Not yet. We can troubleshoot. So how to troubleshoot? And that's the next step. So you see that the address list, the IP was not added there to address list, so it's not there. How to troubleshoot if this attribute is forwarded or not? So this I'm explaining on other videos, but as you can see in Splynx, there are files, as I shown it before. There are radius, short, debug, and COA. In the short, we can see just the communication that it was accepted or the customer logged in. If I want to troubleshoot the packets, what I need to do is I need to log in through CLI to my radius. How to do this? Let's do this. Let's select and go there, SSH root. So we have two services, service free radius that runs, and the second one is Splynx red. So there are two services. I want to stop this one and to troubleshoot it, because this is the service that is responsible for packet processing. Or I can do this, free radius, and now just run free radius minus x66. You can see that it is processing my request, and now what I can do is just reconnect my session. Yes, I'm reconnecting my session, and there, this is the message. This is the troubleshooting. This is my NAS IP address. This is the IP address framed IP that we answered, and there must be also attributes that we are sending back. This is accounting request. Framed IP. This is MikroTik rate limit. We can see that was processed correctly. This is accounting. So where is our packet? Here it is. Accounting, okay. So let's try to reconnect it again to grab some data. So here, if I scroll up, I can see the message failed to create pair invalid vendor name and attribute name. So it looks that I have added incorrectly the plan attribute. So it doesn't have to be this way. Or in my case, it's a 50 Mac plan. It should include the MikroTik address list attribute name, I guess. So what we will do in this case is I will do it this way. We need to include it and say MikroTik address list 50 Mac. And now if I save and restart the session of client, yes, you can see that the name of the address list was added. So it means that Splynx uses this additional field of tariff plan inside the radius reply. This is exactly why we use this plan attribute field. And the same way I can configure per customer. So each customer can have some additional attributes like a VRF, for example, that you can use. So I think that's all what I wanted to explain and to show today. Thank you for your time. Stay in touch.